Welcome back to the BTS Happy Hour podcast. I'm your host, Andrea. Joining me as always is Morgan.
Hey, what's up?
So this week, BTS got to number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 list with Dynamite. Usually when I hear that they have broken some record or got to number 1 on something, it's like, oh, okay, that's not a big deal. It's like, it's Tuesday. It's like, of course they broke a record somewhere. But getting to the Hot 100 number 1 seems to be a really big deal because I see that the members and Big Hit are really emphasizing this achievement.
Mm-hmm.
They're like tweeting a lot. They were talking about how they're so happy that they're at number 1. They, stayed up late to see if it would update and Dynamite would be at number 1.
Mm-hmm.
And they had a V Live the next day. And they also had a 50-minute video that was media day just to talk about this one accomplishment. So they're definitely celebrating this. It is a big deal. And I think it's because it means that they are getting popular in the US and the West. So that's what it indicates to me.
Well, it says it's never happened before, right?
Right. For BTS previously, they've gotten to number 4 on the Billboard Hot 100 with On, which was earlier this year. And then before that, as far as Koreans, it was Psy, who was at number 2 for 7 weeks with Gangnam Style.
Only number 2?
That seems crazy to me. It seems
Who was number 1?
I should look that up.
There's no song that is better than Gangnam. What was number 1 at that time? That I really want to know.
I need to look that up because that seems
you better look that up
crazy
because,
to me.
Yeah, that was the biggest song in the world for a good 8 weeks or so.
I think there's something going on there.
Maybe there was a gigantic song at the same time.
Hard to search for what was number 1.
Yeah, you would have to. Yeah, this is not the easiest search.
So I found the information. The number 1 song that was ahead of Gangnam Style is One More Night by Maroon 5.
That's dumb. I don't even know that song.
I don't even remember that song.
I don't remember that song.
So unmemorable and unremarkable.
That's bad.
So,
that makes me feel really bad.
What the hell? That makes no sense.
Because Gangnam is so much more memorable than that. It will live forever in the zeitgeist.
It's much more iconic.
Mm-hmm.
One More Night. I don't even know how that goes. I know Maroon 5, so I'm not like totally unfamiliar with them.
Right, correct.
I don't know how that song even goes. Like, why was it number 1 for so long? That's pretty suspicious. That might have been a rigged situation or something. I don't know.
A what situation?
Rigged.
Rigged? Oh, okay. Yeah.
This is supposed to, the Billboard Hot 100 is supposed to measure things that are popular in the U.S. If I don't even remember that song, then how is it popular? It's like my brain doesn't remember One More Night by Maroon 5.
So back to the actual, they were happy that they were number 1.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so normally I wouldn't even talk about milestones because they break records all the time.
Right.
And it's like, well, okay, no big deal.
Mm-hmm.
But they did so many things that I was like, wow, this is such a big deal. And I guess it's because it's showing U.S. support for their songs. And this being an all-English song and it's such a catchy song that everybody seems to be on board with. So I think they definitely want to mention it and talk about it and, pat themselves on the back. So I think they definitely deserve to discuss it.
Correct.
And it's a really big achievement. The other thing is I heard that Dynamite, just this one song, it has brought $1.4 billion to South Korea. I don't know exactly, but just the sales of it and probably, I don't know, maybe tourism even? Even though I don't know if you can.
Nobody's going.
I don't know if you can go anywhere, but they said that somehow South Korea has gained that much money just from this song.
Right.
Maybe in taxes or something, because if Big Hit made money, then South Korea made money.
Yeah, we'll trust it.
Yeah. So I think they wanted to make this a big deal because that means the Western market is accepting BTS and they're recognizing, how talented they are and everything. So Billboard Hot 100, it is the music industry standard chart in the U.S. for songs, and it's published by the Billboard magazine, and the chart rankings are based on sales, physical plus digital, and radio play and online streaming in the U.S.
Right.
So with all the sales that they did contributed toward that like when people were buying like the vinyls and the cassette tapes. Like, how do you what do you do with a vinyl though? Like, I don't get that. Who has a record player?
Well, that's a hipster thing these days. They have vinyl.
Yeah, some people are like getting that for nostalgia.
Yeah,
I guess.
some people are getting vinyl nostalgia. Yeah, that's right. That's true.
But the people that are really into vinyl, they say that it sounds better. I don't know if that's true or not.
I think that's a pure lie. It doesn't sound better. I've heard both. So
I don't even get how it works. It's like it's a record, but somehow it has the music on there. I don't know. Like, I get how a CD works, but it doesn't seem like it's the same for a vinyl record. I don't know how they program it onto there.
Well, I know how vinyl works. No. It's interesting. So basically, the needle, you put it in the record, right? And based on like the grooves, it reads whatever the music is supposed to be playing.
Right.
I don't know why that's better than digital. I don't think it is.
I think they think it has more depth, or when you play it on a record player, it sounds better somehow. But
right.
Anyway, a lot of their sales were from digital sales plus the vinyls plus the cassette tapes, all that like retro stuff that they had sold as part of the Dynamite merch. That all contributed towards sales of the song. So that contributed toward the 1.4 billion that went to South Korea.
Right.
So recently, Big Hit filed for their IPO, and their statement, I guess they have to submit a whole long statement that talks about the company and like what they're doing and what they're going to do. And it revealed all sorts of new information about BTS that we didn't know before. So I thought that was really interesting. One thing they mentioned was that BTS, all the members have shares of Big Hit. So now they're shareholders in the company that they work for. So they each own over 68,000 shares of Big Hit, and that's going to be very valuable, I'm sure,
how valuable? Can you put a dollar amount on it?
Let's see. It says each share is likely to be priced at $88.39 USD to $113.65
for a total of
BTS members will likely receive 7.7 million each for their shares. So Big Hit plans to hold 1.4 million shares, which means BTS will own 33.5% of the label and 6.7% of the total shares.
6.7%? Really? That's a pretty big percentage.
I didn't think Bang PD would not let them own any shares, but I didn't think they would own that many.
Right.
Because a lot of times you just work for a company. You don't necessarily have the ability to buy shares. So I think that's good for them because it's like, oh, they're invested in it and they're all, tied together now. And it says Bang PD is the largest shareholder with 43.44% of the company. And then Netmarble will own 25%. So that's that company that makes their games, I think.
I'm happy that BTS is getting some shares.
Yes.
Even though, it's not that many shares or anything. But hey, it's better than nothing, right?
I think that helps them be involved in, like, if you own shares in the company you work for, you're going to be more invested in it and you're going to like work hard for it. It's like you're all working for the same goal. And I didn't think Bang PD would even think about firing them or like screwing them over in some way, but still, if you think about what could happen, so many ugly things happen when artists are not working in concert with their label. Like you have like Taylor Swift's situation where she worked for a record label called Big Machine Records. They signed her when she was very young, and then
she was ungrateful about it, my opinion, and she said, oh, I don't like these terms anymore. Correct?
So yeah, Big Machine owns her masters.
Correct.
They own her whole catalog.
Which is typical.
And then Big Machine sold to people that she didn't like. So like I could see how that would be upsetting, but still it's like there's nothing you could do about that.
Well, name the people. They sold to Scooter Braun.
Well, it's not him solely. It's like a company that he's with, like a whole, group that represents all these other interests. It's not just him. It's just like he's part of it. But yeah, now Scooter Braun kind of owns her masters of her older songs.
Well, when you sign that contract, that's what's going to happen.
Yeah. So that's kind of what happened to her. And then now she's with a different label. And now going forward, she's going to own all her masters. But yeah, so the BTS owning shares in Big Hit ensures that they'll have all this control over their own work, and then they will make profits off their own songs. So that's good for them because they avoided that Taylor Swift situation, basically. So yeah, I think that's a good situation for them, especially when they have to start going in the military. It's like you want to leave your company in control, in good hands. So it sounds like Big Hit has their best interests. When they were filing for the IPO, they said basically Jin has to enlist by the end of 2021 according to the current laws. So it sounds like their plan is to let the members enlist when they're like around 28 at the normal time, and then that's that. They go when they go. They don't have some other plan of like everybody going at the same time, or like a couple of them. I guess they have to disclose here's when some members may have to go, because to people who are going to potentially buy shares, they need to know that, and that they have a plan in place. So if there's an album that has to come out during that time, they're going to try to record everything they need to do ahead of time and do all the photo shoots and everything else like ahead of time, so that we won't even notice that Jin is gone during that time. But I don't know what they're going to do when it's like multiple people have to go like in the same year, or like 1 year and then the next year. It's like that's hard to plan. Another thing we found out is that BTS is the main revenue generator for Big Hit.
Well, of course.
Yeah, I mean, we assume that. I don't think this
is a surprise or anything. Right?
But the percent of what it is, it was in 2018 BTS was 98.2% of Big Hit's profits, and then 2019 it was 97.4%, and then 2020 it got down to 87.7%. So that tells me that Big Hit is diversifying enough, and then they have the other groups starting to bring in other
is that what that tells profit. You? It doesn't tell me that at all. If one group is 87% of your revenue, that's still not very diversified. That's not at all. I mean,
they're trying to get to more diversified.
I mean, it's better than 97, true, but it's not reaching a definition that anybody would call diversified.
Right.
It's still the lion's share. Yeah.
I think they're trying to get more popularity with the other groups, but it's like everybody wants to see more from BTS, so it's kind of hard to expand the other groups. And I think that's part of their strategy, is buy other labels and get other groups. I think they're going to create some rookie groups at the end of this year and then next year. So hopefully that will take some of the burden off of BTS. But I mean, there's only so much you could do, because like you can't force people to love your new groups. You have to just see what happens. But they're definitely making the effort, especially TXT and GFriend and 17. I've seen a lot of promotions for them and creating music, so I think they're doing their best with that. Another thing we found out from this Big Hit registration statement is the contract expiration dates of Big Hit groups, which I guess isn't usually made public for everybody. We found out that BTS contract ends in 2024, TXT in 2026, 17 and New West in 2022, and GFriend in 2021.
TXT in 2022, really? No, 2024.
TXT in 2026.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow, that's far away. Okay.
That sounds like so far in the future. Yeah. It's only 2020.
Right.
Wow, that's crazy that they only started a year ago. Wow.
That makes sense then.
Yeah, they have been very successful for rookies, so that's good for them. They have like a long contract ahead of them of success. So I don't know. I guess 17. I think they're doing well. I don't know how New West or GFriend are doing, but I mean, they're probably not expected to do as well as like BTS and TXT, but I don't know if they're doing well enough to be re-signed again. But I guess we'll see. But they do probably Big Hit needs to have some more diversity in there with like maybe like one or two more girl groups. Although, isn't it harder to succeed as a girl group?
It is. So, well, I mean, girl groups generally have worse
like success rates.
Yeah, it's harder.
Maybe you need to have more tries then.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah. There's another group that they're supposed to be debuting that they've done the auditions for already, so we'll see how that turns out.
Mm-hmm.
Big Hit is talking to Zico's label, which is called Co's Entertainment, about possibly buying that. I don't know what else is on the label other than Zico, but maybe that's something that would be beneficial to Bang PD to have,
Maybe.
Zico under his label, because
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, Zico is supposed to be a good producer and everything, so maybe he could use him for like multiple uses. Because he's a judge on Island, so maybe he is like, oh yeah, let's talk about your label.
Maybe they're segueing from there.
Yeah, maybe we could do a business deal with that, and everybody benefits. That would be interesting, and then maybe you could see some like crossovers, like Zico and BTS and 17 or whatever. But yeah, that'd be interesting if that's something that results from that. So the MTV VMAs were on August 30th, and BTS performed, as well as many other acts, on August 30th in New York. And BTS performed remotely, so they recorded something from Korea, and that was taped. This event was actually not that bad for being a quarantine event, because they had a lot of the performances took place outside, and they had actual people out in the audience, socially distanced or whatever, but it still seemed like more of an award show than some other things that were big events recently. And you can't make something look like a Zoom event. People don't want to look at that anymore. Like, if it looks like your work meetings, then that's not telling you what a big event it is. So I think MTV did a decent job at making it look like a bigger spectacle, because they had all these like outdoor venues and they had more effects. It just was weird because it didn't feel like super cohesive, though. It seemed like Lady Gaga was the host of the show, even though I know she wasn't, but she was just on screen so much. It just seemed like she was the main person in charge of it. And I guess that's just because she won so many awards. BTS performed Dynamite for the first time, so I thought that went really well, because they were in a studio and they used green screen, and it looked like a very outdoors and very New York background. I noticed that their styling for this performance, it wasn't as 70s as some of the other performances I've seen since then. So I think they made a choice to go with these suits and vest combos, maybe because it's a lot of people's first time seeing Dynamite, and so if they haven't seen the video, maybe they wouldn't understand why they look 70s or disco or wearing that type of outfits. So I think it was a good choice, though, because it still kind of hinted towards the video, because I think vests are a more throwback kind of menswear choice. Like when you wear the vest without a jacket, that's more of a 70s thing. I don't think people do that anymore. So I thought their looks were really good for this, and it fit in with the song. And I don't know how they dance with full suits on, but they're professional. So I don't know, maybe they have like adjustments made in the tailoring so that they can do their full dance. But I thought this was a really good performance. I was seeing some comments on a Facebook group that I'm on, and these are just random people, not BTS or K-pop fans, but they were just basically implying that they were lip syncing, and then I was offended by that, because it's like, BTS does not lip sync, okay? I know they sound good, so maybe you think it's lip syncing, but 100% they did not lip sync. And especially the fact that this was taped ahead of time, they probably recorded this multiple times and then sent off the best one to the VMAs, so there's like zero reason for them to lip sync. On top of the principle of it, I don't think they lip sync at big award show performances. Also, I didn't comment and correct this person. I didn't want to sound like the crazy person who's like, oh, I listened to the song 100 times and I guarantee you this was not lip syncing. I liked how they used a backdrop of the New York skyline. So that was a nice tribute, since it's an all English song, and also the award show is taking place in New York. So I thought that was a good reference to it. And then later on in the song, it looks like it switches to a different scene in a different city. I'm assuming that's Seoul. I'm not 100% on that. I don't know what the Seoul skyline looks like, but I think that's what that was, that other city backdrop, and it's right on the water. I know Seoul has a lot of rivers right nearby, so that's what I'm guessing that was. So I thought that was very good to bridge the relationship there. It's like New York and Seoul and their BTS. Their voices sounded amazing and the dancing was really good. So I thought this was a very successful performance. They were there and they won all the awards that they were nominated for, which I wasn't expecting.
Right. Well, I predicted that.
Yeah,
didn't I?
You did.
I told you they're going to win all the ones they're nominated for.
I don't know why. I was just being like pessimistic or something. I was like, oh, they're not. They're only gonna win best K-pop and then best group maybe, and like that's it. But they won best pop, best K-pop, best choreography, and best group. So I think wow, that's good that they are being recognized. As far as other K-pop, Blackpink won Song of the Summer for How You Like That. But I think that one, I don't know who determined that one, but that was like a side category.
It's just a
maybe online
nonsense category.
They don't tell you how their methodology or anything, so who knows how this is determined. But I was still glad that BTS got recognized, and maybe that's just attesting to their popularity now in the West and the respect that they're finally being given. They won all 4 categories, but you did predict that, so that's... You get the credit. Yeah.
I predicted that they'd give it to them. Whoever wins categories, it's not important. Are any of you going to remember who won what? No. Here's what's important. Watch the award show. BTS's performance put the other performances to shame. Did you see the other people? I'm just going to stand around and wave my hands around and lip sync my song. Whereas BTS, they came with a whole choreography, which they obviously spent a ton of time doing. It was difficult. It was hard. It's just so much better. Look at these other artists.
I think
lazy.
BTS was there to entertain.
Right. Even the ones that put forth more than a modicum of effort, it was still pretty lazy, right? Like Lady Gaga, she put forth a little bit more effort, but as much as BTS, not even close. Not even close. So it just goes to show again the qualitative level, the difference between what K-pop is offering you and what American pop music is offering.
I like Lady Gaga and Ariana Grande, but it was the same as the video. It wasn't any different, really.
No.
They just had some different costuming, and I think that maybe that's where the creativity was. It's like, oh, we changed which outfit. Part of her costuming was using masks in every song, and these videos didn't originally have that, so it definitely seems like a choice that she made to demonstrate how we should all be wearing masks all the time still during the pandemic. So I thought that was a very interesting way that she made her performance relevant to current events without being too overt about it, and expressing it in an artistic way and not just saying, hey, do this, don't do this, you know. So I thought that was pretty creative. And we're used to Lady Gaga having weird stuff going on anyway from her past costumes and looks. So this definitely fit with her brand.
Did they work hard to learn some sort of choreography or anything like that? No, they didn't.
Yeah, their choreography wasn't hard.
No. Look at the BTS performance. It was very involved and entertaining.
They had fun with it too. Like some of the people,
had fun with it.
Like The Weeknd, like I don't know what his issue was, but he was pissed off and not happy to be there. It's
How
like,
do you know that?
That's what he said. He was like,
is that what he said?
Yeah, he like won awards, and then he was like, oh, it's hard for me to be happy because of such and such issues going on in the world.
Oh, because of Black Lives Matter or whatever?
Yeah. Okay, that's fine that you feel that way, but this is a show that we're watching for entertainment, and it's like, why are you trying to bring down the mood? Why are you trying to bring down the vibe? It's like, that was
it's hard for you to be happy?
Why did you show up then?
Yeah, go home.
I'm not watching this show to be depressed. Here's all the depressing things happening in the world. Let's hear more about that. Like, no, I don't want to hear more about that.
Right.
It's like, I hear about that enough. Plenty.
Right. So, yeah, screw him for that. You can just say, I don't want to be eligible for this because I feel some kind of way about the world in general, even though, let's be honest, you're a massively rich celebrity. You're living a very privileged life yourself.
Yeah. His performance was another thing. I was like, Blinding Lights, that song, it's okay for me to...
I don't like that song.
It's too 80s. It's not, it's not like bringing it back like retro. It's kind of just like copying it 100%. So I don't like that it's just like a straight up copy of something from the 80s.
Okay.
And he was wearing like the same exact outfit from the video. And I think a lot of people like don't get, he looked all beat up and like that was from the video. But then not everybody watched the video. So they were like, why does he look like that? But
right.
BTS, when they perform Dynamite, they're not wearing the same exact thing.
True.
They wear other clothes that have the similar vibe. I don't know why he had to wear that red suit again.
I'm not a fan of The Weeknd. I don't like him at all.
He seems like a totally different person now. I just think there's a big difference between, let me just do straight up 80s, and then how Dynamite just had like hints of retroness. Like it isn't like 100%. As far as other performers, Miley Cyrus was there and she did her new song. It's hard to even look at her. Her haircut is so bad now, and her styling. She has kind of like a 70s haircut.
That sucks.
I finally remembered like what it reminded me of. Not only like 70s female rock stars or female haircuts that were fashionable, but also Joe Exotic. So I don't know if Miley was inspired by that or not. I know we all saw Tiger King at the beginning of this pandemic about 6 or 7 months ago. So maybe like subconsciously she was inspired by that fashion moment. She's someone who, she has such a good look, but then she has the worst styling and then has such a bad haircut, and she's determined to like ruin her looks somehow. And I just wish she would go back to like Party in the USA and just be like
10 years ago.
Regular pop star.
Okay, well, that's 10 years ago. She's not going to go back to that. She is what she is now, right?
The other good part of it was Doja Cat's performance, because she's actually funny, and then she had like a really good performance of her song.
Okay.
And she has some good dancing and choreography, and I think she's someone that has personality, so that was someone that I enjoyed. And then she won awards too. I forget which ones, but
Doja Cat.
I think she was a highlight,
right,
in addition to BTS. On September 1st, BTS released I'm On It, which is a song that promotes the Hyundai electric car IONIQ. I'm on it. Just my chance. I'm on it. Takes me there. 내가 원하는 건 simple. 멀리보다는 함께 가고 싶어. That was a clip from I'm On It, and the song's actually available on the Hyundai Worldwide website for download, so if you wanted to go get it, there it is. And I thought their style for this video was very classic. It's very Calvin Klein or Abercrombie, probably cost a lot of money, even though they just looked very like simple and classic. And BTS is so versatile, they could do pretty much any kind of style. So that makes them very good for being a commercial ambassador for something. And so that they're probably very expensive if you wanted to hire them for your product. So just, they're BTS, they can do anything, they can promote anything, and it would make a lot of money. So hopefully this campaign for Hyundai Worldwide is going well and they will sell some more IONIQs from it. I tried to find out who wrote this song, but I couldn't find that information online. So I don't know if it's a big hit writer or someone they normally work with, but the song definitely fit with BTS's usual style. It sounds like it could be a BTS song if I didn't know that it was a commercial. So I thought whoever wrote it did a really good job working with BTS's style and their voices and lyrics. Those sounded like phrases they would say and things that they believe. So I thought they did a good job with the songwriting. So if you saw the video, if you're a V fan, you probably liked it because it had a lot of V in the beginning. And it's actually a pretty catchy song. It doesn't seem like just, some random song that they put to a commercial. It's like a real video. It doesn't look like just a commercial. But, I mean, I don't know how much money they put into that. Half of the song was English lyrics. it seems like Hyundai intends for all BTS fans, including international fans, to watch this commercial, and they want us to like buy IONIQs. And the song lyrics had to do with energy, and it seemed like that could be interpreted as like, oh, car energy, like an electric car, or it could be like energy from people. If you're talking about other people, like you get energy from them. So I thought it was a good video. So the concept for this video, it looked like BTS was in a bunch of different locations and they're all singing, and it's like they're in the desert, they're at a beach, they're at a forest, and they're all singing about energy just in general. And it seemed like, okay, you can use this electric car to get to these places. But I think J-Hope was the only one that had a different location. He was in like a room that had a lot of mirrors, whereas everybody else was in some kind of nature backdrop. It looked like the same room that Suga was in for when he did Shadow. It's like the same thing. So I thought it was a pretty successful video because you're going to have BTS fans looking up this video just because it says BTS in it, and then they're going to learn about this car. And then so I had to look up, let's compare this to other cars. What if you're in the market for an electric car or a hybrid car? And I guess it's similar to a Prius if you're getting the hybrid version, but the IONIQ, okay, now I'm going to be a shill for Hyundai. It has better fuel efficiency on the highway.
Than a Prius? No way.
On the highway.
Oh.
It says 59 mpg versus 53 for
really?
Prius.
That is much better.
Yeah, like you'd think it would be kind of the same thing, but I guess, I don't know, somehow they've done the work.
That is much better.
And I was reading some reviews too. They said that IONIQ is quieter in the cabin than a Prius, because Prius, but once you drive and you're on the freeway, there's a lot of noise that gets in.
True.
So I don't know why that is, but you have to like
build quality.
Yeah, you have to like turn up the radio once you're on the freeway. So, but apparently IONIQ does better in that department. Oh. So that's something to note if you're in the market. It also supposedly drives better than a Prius on rough surfaces.
I was trying to like beat a Prius.
Yeah, sounds like it. But I mean, you have a long way to go if you're trying to compete, because everybody knows a Prius and it's like very popular, you know, among.
It's hard to beat a Prius.
It has the name recognition.
Right. But
yeah, it sounds like IONIQ is pretty good. The things I was reading about. So maybe my next car, I might think about it. Super M released another song on September 1st called Tiger Inside, and it's the second single off their next album, and the song is about, it says, keeping in theme with the concept of the release, the lyrics convey the message, overcoming hardships by unleashing one's inner beast with using metaphors of tiger and food. Okay. So if you watch the videos, talking about being a tiger inside, and
it sounds nonsensical.
Yeah, like I thought the lyrics were weird. It's like, dinner's ready. It's like, wait, what are you guys talking about? But it's like, okay, I guess everything's a metaphor. That's fine. I don't need to understand everything.
Right.
Their styling looked totally different from 100, even though I feel like we just saw that like 2 weeks ago.
Correct.
100 must have been filmed a while ago then. If they look
a pandemic.
Totally different for this one, and I guess they didn't intend for them to be released this close together. Did you like this song?
No, I can't say that I like this song. Sorry. I mean, the video was fine, but I can't say that I like this song.
I thought I liked 100 better.
Yeah, 100 was better.
Tiger,
seems like this was just sort of thrown in there.
I did like it after hearing it a couple more times, Tiger Inside, but yeah, I think initially I liked 100 better. It was more memorable. But for some reason, Tiger Inside seems to be getting more views and more streams.
Really?
So, yeah, I don't know what's different about that. I just wonder, like, maybe their promotion isn't right, because it seems like 100 should have had a lot of views and then maybe a little bit less for Tiger Inside. But it's like backwards. I don't know.
Right.
As far as their styling for this, I guess we have to talk about the obvious thing, which was Mark's hair. It's like, why was it like bright pink and a mullet? Like,
well, doing something different.
He like was really stood out in this video just because of his hair color. It's like everybody else had kind of a normal hair color, and he had it didn't even fit with the video. It seemed like it didn't seem like a concept where you'd have bright pink.
True.
So I was really confused by that.
I think he's just isn't he the youngest? He just has to take whatever hair color they want him to do.
Right. I'm sure he was assigned that. He looked like a video game character, and so I don't know, maybe they were going for something really specific with the characters that they were doing, because it was very like martial arts, and especially with the outfits towards the end where they had like a really like, I don't even know what that is, but some kind of martial art costume that they all had. I don't know what their plan is, but I think the problem with Super M is that every video they have, it's like, it's serious. Like they take themselves so serious with their image. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like they're only showing like one side. Like I'm not saying like, okay, do a cute concept next week, but if they could show a different side where it's like, oh, this is kind of like an upbeat happy song, or you know, like a Stay Gold or something like that. Right. Dynamite might be going too far for Super M if they did something like that. But if they did a video where they are more relatable or more normal, it's like, oh, we're just guys like, you know, hanging out, or we're just guys playing basketball or something like that. It's like every single video, it's like, we're super cool guys. Don't even approach us because we're too cool to even be in the same area as you. And I don't know if they can show other dimensions. Or maybe that's their intention. Is like this is what Super M is.
They want to be more serious.
The other issue with Super M, it's not an issue that I have, but I think that the fans have, is that each person, because they're all from different groups, all of them have a lot of support and they have like a big fandom. So if one person is not shown as much, those people are going to get really mad. And I'm seeing a lot of different arguments on like Reddit and stuff where, well, so-and-so isn't being shown enough and they should be because they're so talented. And it's like, well, that's true. Each person is very talented, but then that's the purpose of Super M is like, they're all one of the top talented people from their group, and that's why they're in Super M. Right. But that just leads to a lot of people being dissatisfied when a song comes out and like, oh, they're not featured as much as they think they should be. So I think SM might run into a problem with that because of the fans. They're very vocal. It's kind of like the Jin fans sending the truck. Right. But every single person in Super M has fans like that they're very passionate.
Yeah, I guess that's the downside of you made a super group, you know? You made a super group out of other groups.
Yeah. And there's only so many moments where, oh, we need the vocalist to do some singing, or we need the rapper to do this singing. And it's like there's 7 of them, so they all have to have a part, but they can't all have a prominent part in every single song. I was seeing some complaints from 10 fans and then some of the other fans, like Mark fans. They were represented a little more in this video because like Mark had a whole part and then 10 had a lot of visual, I think. If you're a fan of Kai, there's not that much of him either in this video. He just has a line here and there, and then they show him. Like it almost seems like they just use him for visual and don't give him much singing to do. I guess that's just what SM has to deal with. I
mean, what does it really matter? It's like they're not really committed to them. It's just it's gonna die on the vine. They're not really committed to making this a success.
It's too bad they're not, because I think there's a lot of talent there.
These guys are still in NCT, and they're still. If you're gonna do it, do it. Yeah. If you're not gonna do it, then don't do it. That's sort of my position.
It just seems like SM is just trying to have their cake and eat it too. It's like, we want to have you guys working really hard for all your groups, but we also want you working really hard for Super M. But then it's not a cohesive plan for Super M, really. And it's like Taemin is trying to have a solo career too. Or, I mean, I don't even know if he's like going to do anything with SHINee anymore, but those people are all done with the military, but then he has to go at some point. So it's like very confusing, like all the commitments everybody has to all the different groups. Yeah, I think SM is not doing a great job with keeping everybody organized and having like a plan for like, here's what this group is doing. It's like when you look at Big Hit, they're just so good with how much they plan out. I mean, it's easier because they only have BTS and TXT really to deal with. So it's easy to plan out a whole arc of things and have a theme, and like everybody has time to do everything, and it's not people being exhausted. So I guess that's different with SM. They have too many things going on to plan. Tiger Inside. It reminded me of like an NCT song. Not that I'm an expert of NCT or anything, but
it's SM. So pretty much any SM will remind you of an NCT song.
Yeah. It sounded like Kick It kind of. Yeah. It had a little bit more rapping in it than their previous stuff. But I mean, I liked 100. I don't know why. I don't know. It just seems like a lot of people didn't like it for some reason.
I didn't like it.
Oh, okay.
It sounded just kind of blah. I don't know. I didn't like it. Didn't seem very special to me.
Okay, so this was reported on MBC News, which is a Korean station. People are wondering if BTS's enlistment in mandatory military service might be delayed as part of a revision of the Military Service Act, because they're trying to revise the military service law to include pop culture artists with high cultural and economic contributions as people who can qualify for postponement of enlistment. So it's not going to give them an exemption or anything, but it would allow them to postpone it until 30 years old. So right now you can't postpone it any further than being 28. And we know that in BTS, Jin is going to be 28 by the end of 2021. So he's going to have to enlist by then. And if this new law passes, then certain pop culture artists, I'm sure BTS would qualify under this criteria, you could delay it until age 30. And that would probably benefit BTS. But like I was saying, like, I don't know, is it worth it to keep delaying it, or should they just go and get it over with?
I think it's worth it to keep delaying it, because every single year you delay it, there's another chance that some more permanent solution will come about.
That's true. I guess I'm just thinking, like, what if they're even more successful in 2 years, and then it's like even harder to get away? You know what I mean?
Well, maybe the government will be even. This is exactly what I knew would come about. Listen, there's no person with brain cells that are still working that actually believes that BTS is more useful to the South Korean government doing their whatever mandatory enlistment than they are being out there doing their thing. Like, there's nobody who thinks that, right? The only reason why there's any sort of pushback against just giving them an exemption is because, well, you don't want to make it seem like exemptions are easy or anything like that. Even though people have had exemptions, right? Athletes have had exemptions. People who play quote unquote classical music. Who even cares about that? First of all, who even cares about that?
Yeah, Olympic athletes.
Why is it, if you're like some sort of classical music musician, why is that more worthy? BTS has obviously had a much greater impact and a much more beneficial impact on South Korean standing than any of these other people. But you're not going to give them an exemption? It's politics.
It's just going to be, they can say they did it, and look, we fulfilled our duty just like everybody else.
Yeah, we didn't bend the rules for them. Oh, wonderful. But you bend the rules for some people. Why not them? I would love for someone to explain the logic to me.
They're like, well, there was backlash when those other people got exemptions. Like, well, I don't think there would be a lot of backlash if BTS got an exemption.
Well,
I think people would understand. They made so much of an impact.
If any situation could be understood, I would think this would be understood.
Yeah, people would be okay with it.
And you're not just going to let them off scot-free. Just tell them that, you have to, contribute in your own way, right? Maybe they will do a series of free concerts, right? Things like that.
Yeah, like do some videos or do some things for the troops.
Yeah, you should absolutely contribute in the way that you are best able to. But let's be real, they're not best able to contribute by just being grunts, like just being regular enlistment bodies. Is that really the best way to use these people? That's just stupid.
A lot of times people enlist and then they have to just do a regular job. It's like, oh, I'm a police officer, or I'm working in a museum, or
Right.
some regular thing. And it's like,
Right.
okay, that's really a waste of what members of BTS can do. And like they can't do their real job, which is like bringing so much money to South Korea and awareness.
Right.
It's like you're preventing them from doing that. Okay, if you're going to make them enlist, at least make it so it's like, okay, the weekends they can still do concerts, or it's not as long. It's like not 18 months. It's like less than that. At least they could do something like that so they can still be BTS.
Or some of their concerts are to benefit the government or something, right?
Right.
That makes sense to me. It does make sense to some lawmakers. It's clear that some of them are trying to rectify the situation.
Yeah,
some of them are trying to do this.
Well, we do keep hearing about there's these proposals and like bills and things like that, because there's some people that are like, okay, let's just be practical about this. This is BTS we're talking about. And what good is it if they're out of commission for 18 months? Like, that doesn't make sense.
They are amazing brand ambassadors for the South Korean brand, for the government, for the culture. Why are you taking them, just like putting them out of commission for 2 years?
And I think you made a good point as far as like the current bill now is just going to postpone it, but that does buy them more time to figure out a better solution.
Right.
So I think
postponing is almost as good as just eliminating, because I guarantee you that if they postpone it, they'll figure out something good in the meantime.
And what do you think about, there's some people that are like, we're Americans, and they're saying international fans shouldn't even like weigh in on a Korean thing because, oh, it's like not your business, or it's not your job to have an opinion on that. It's like, well, I'm going to have an opinion because everybody in the world comments on what's happening in America, so why wouldn't I comment on
it's fine
everything
to have
else?
an opinion. Absolutely. I think it's fine to have an opinion.
No, there's some people that are like, Americans shouldn't comment on Korean things because that's their decision. It's like, yeah, it is their decision, but I'll still have an opinion on it. I think that BTS should be given more leeway.
It is a South Korea's decision, ultimately.
Yeah, we have no impact on it either way, so we're going to say what we think.
Right.
Yeah,
you don't have to listen. But
just like everybody has an opinion on what America should be doing and like how we're running our country. It's like everybody has opinions on everything. It just goes both ways.
I just have an opinion, but it is very heartening. I do think that it is in place. People are trying to do what they can do to make sure that BTS does not have to serve. Yeah,
and I think the more success they achieve, the harder it is to say, okay, BTS, time to enlist, because it seems weird to everybody in the world. It's like, wow, you're like number one pop stars.
Right.
They have to go to the military now and like not do their jobs, not make music, not do what got them so much notoriety and brought so much recognition to South Korea. Like, that doesn't really make sense, guys. So I think when they get to the number one on Billboard Hot 100 and they win awards and all this other recognition around the world, like that makes it harder and harder to force them to do. So I think that's great that BTS is being so successful with Dynamite right now. I feel like I'm being objective. I'm looking at what can they best be used for. Yeah. It's not like my own selfish reasons.
I'm not saying that they should just get away and not have to contribute to the South Korean war effort or whatever it is you're talking about, right? They absolutely should. They're South Korean citizens, so they should contribute to that. But their abilities dictate that they contribute in different ways.
I just think it would be like a security issue too. Like, you can't just have BTS in the same barracks or whatever as like a bunch of other people. Like, people know who they are. They're really famous, and they might bother them or harass them or whatever. I mean, I don't know if it's even safe. People
is it even safe?
As famous as them, because some people might be jealous of them or whatever, and it's like, oh, I'm gonna beat up J-Hope or something, and I'll prove I'm cool or whatever. It's like no one wants to hear about kind of a bullying situation happening. That would be bad.
Oh well, I don't know if that'll happen. That's like prison.
Like
you make it sound like a prison or something.
Yeah, maybe it's not that bad.
Yeah.
This current bill would include pop culture artists, so that would include K-pop artists with the other people that would normally get delayed.
Now, some people might say, oh, well, all sorts of K-pop artists would get an exemption under this. Is that such a bad thing?
That's not a lot of people.
No, it's not a lot of people.
If you think about it. It's like the top whatever percent of entertainers.
And as K-pop becomes more of a global thing, those people, would you not say that those people deserve some kind of exemption? Are they not doing great work? Just rest assured, if you're a BTS fan, I do think that there are people in the government, influential people, who are hard at work on this issue. They're trying to fix this before Jin has to enlist, which is, like they said, 2021, correct? That's still a good ways away. Hopefully nobody has to go. That's ideal, right? They have till 2021. And as they become bigger and bigger and bigger and more famous, you have to think that adds more ammunition to their cause. They can just point and say, hey, look, these guys are the most famous Koreans in the history of Korea. Are we seriously just gonna, just due to technicalities, destroy that momentum for 2 years? Is that what we're gonna do here?
The whole economy suffers.
Right. They bring this up much to the economy. They bring this much to South Korean prestige, and we're just gonna say screw it for 2 years.
Oh, that's the rules.
But those are the rules. It's like, but the rules already have exceptions. We just have to massage the exceptions a little bit more to include them, right? The most exceptional group of people don't deserve an exception. Why? That's what exceptions are for, correct? Exceptional people.
Right.
Well, who's more exceptional in South Korean history than BTS? I would extend it to broader K-pop, and maybe some other people wouldn't, but I would, because I think that K-pop is one of those like driving forces of pushing Korean culture out beyond, right?
Yeah.
I believe so. And it's not just BTS. It's not just them. It's other groups. So I think they deserve it as well.
To be fair, like all you'd have to do is say, okay, groups that make this much revenue per year, you're exempt from it.
Okay.
You know, like you contribute this much to South Korean economy, then that would be a line.
Yeah, that would be fair. Right. But this is a clear case where I think that they contribute so much. I would be confident that something's going to get done. The only thing that is stopping them from just writing a law and saying, boom, they're exempt, is, the difficulties of how do we write this law? How do we treat everybody, etc.? And how does this look politically? Some people in South Korea may not be so happy about that. So it's a political question.
Yeah, you have to write it just the right way and introduce it just the right way.
Right. Until Jin puts on a uniform and he goes to the barracks, I am convinced that they will figure something out. There's money, there's so many interests behind getting this done correctly that I can't imagine that they would just fail.
And I think it's even more dire because of coronavirus. BTS hasn't been able to perform in a long time. So all the people that would have made money from the concerts didn't make any money. So it's like if you own a venue, if you own a restaurant or business or whatever that would normally profit from BTS doing concerts in South Korea, it's like you're really invested in them working as normal in the coming year. And so you don't want to see anybody go off to enlistment. And there you go again. Like now BTS can't be 100% again. Right. So I think there's a lot of special interests involved, and they're going to want BTS to all stay together as 7 because that's what they're known for, is having all 7.
People are working on it. If I had to put money on it, I'd put money on BTS not having an enlist.
Thank you to our guest, Morgan. You can find BTS Happy Hour on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Podbean, Castbox, iHeartRadio, Deezer, Listen Notes, and YouTube. New episodes weekly. If you support the podcast, please comment and share on social media, leave a review on Apple Podcasts, or give us a rating on your podcast app. Follow BTS Happy Hour on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Until next time, this has been BTS Happy Hour. Thanks for listening, and remember, make every hour a happy one.